Ancient Greece meets Broadway and takes us to the underworld and back with musical Hadestown. The production is making its way to Hammons Hall in April. And joining me now is the actor starring as Hades, Nicholas Cologne. Nicholas, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Okay, so Nicholas, for people that are not really overly familiar with Hadestown, kind of give me the skinny on what this musical is.
It's just your run-the-mill musical. It's about two love stories. One brand new with Orpheus and Eurydice. They just fell in love. Everything's nice and pretty and wonderful. You have the other side with Hades and Persephone, who have been together for eons, and it shows. And it's a story of how far would you go for the love of your life. In Orpheus's case, it's down to hell, and in Hades' case, well, you'll just have to come see the show. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of, you do play Hades in this show. So how did you go about kind of taking on this role? And then also, how do you bring Hades to life night after night on stage?
Yeah, I got very lucky. My partner got me tickets to actually see it for the first time Valentine's Day last year. And we saw Philip Boykin and Annie DeFranco, and it was just life changing. And I told myself, I was like, I have to do this show. And then 2 months later, I got an audition for it. And then now I'm here. So yeah, tonight will be show number 145 for me. And yeah, I have a whole philosophy about like why we do theater and stuff like that. And my big why every single night is I never know when like a little Nick clone's gonna be out there. Or like you, when you're performing at the Sanger, a little kid's gonna be out there and turn to their mom that night and be like, I want to do this. And then they get to interview with someone a couple years later. So yeah, that's my big why for how I can do it every single night.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that's a very relatable feeling for a lot of us, right? Especially the ones of us that like the kind of those creative outlets and performative outlets. So, one thing that really stands out to me about this musical is the music itself is so kind of unique and interesting, and the style's not really like something we've seen a lot. I was just before this interview listening to the NPR Tiny Desk of the original cast. So, why don't you tell
So
me a
good.
little bit more about kind of the musical style so people kind of know what they're in for?
Yeah, so there's a reason this won so many Tonys and a Grammy. Anais Mitchell's music is incredible. When a world of musical theater, she was like, she's a folk artist. She was like, let's make it a folk opera. So there's touches of jazz, hip hop, R&B, soul, folk. It's unlike anything you've ever heard when you think of the word musical. It's not Seussical, it's not Chorus Line. Those are wonderful musicals. I love people who get to do them. But this one is, there's a reason people just keep playing that album over and over and over again. The music is just as much of a character in this show as I am.
Yeah, I feel like all these years later, I still see friends of mine like posting the music from their Spotify on their Instagram stories, or you know what have you. They're always
Yeah.
sharing it. It's very relevant. So, I'm curious with that though. Is there a musical number that kind of stands out to you, or you particularly find yourself excited to get to perform each show?
Well, Songbird's always a fun one because for some reason people just I think we're in the age of like Dear Evan Hansen and My Petersburg and Anastasia where it's like how high can you sing? And it's always a fun time for me when the old grannies in the audience go, "Oh," when I sing my first line in Hey Little Songbird and they're like, "Oh, someone can sing that low." So Hey Little Songbird, especially with Meg Colton and the band is just it's just so much fun. And it's never worked for me. I just get to go up there and play. It's great.
That's, I think, how you know you've done it right, right? Is like you get to go out there and it doesn't feel like work. You're really enjoying what you're doing. I think that's really, really special. Now, we talked about like relevance and kind of how it's maintained, its relevancy as a show. So, the show premiered on Off Broadway back in 2016 and then made its official Broadway premiere in 2019. So, all these years later, why do you think it's so resonating with people? Why do you think people still care about this incredible production?
I think no matter how far human existence goes, like love is such a core part of being human. And it being a love story and two different facets of love and trying to reconnect with the ones that you love will just be a timeless piece of this. It's also, unfortunately, one of those things where when this was written, the current political climate was not what it was, and it's a different. I don't think about it when I'm doing the song, but "Why We Build a Wall" is a completely different song now to audiences who have lived this last decade with it. And so, yeah, I think political times have caught up to it, which makes it even more relevant than it was back in 2016 or even 2006 when it was written. And but the main thing being is that love and fighting against the powers that be will just always be something people can connect with.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about theater and live production specifically is that emotions that it can evoke in you as an audience member, right? I mean, as the actor, you're getting to do this night after night and you're really investing a lot of time into who you're playing, but as the audience member, we just get a few hours with you all. And I think when you can walk away with those feelings, I think one, that means you guys have done your job right. And two, it just shows the power of theater.
Mm, absolutely.
Which I think is really cool. Okay, the other thing I really love about Hadestown is that it's this very big kind of ensemble cast ensemble musical. So, what's it been like for you getting to work with your fellow cast members?
Well, it's really fun to, especially playing Hades, to be like, oh, wow, you guys are working really, really hard right now. Because I'm just strolling around on stage. I got my cowboy boots on. I barely gallop in this show at all. And then the poor workers who have worked their butts off every single night, putting their bodies on the line every single day, are just, they're incredible. They're all so talented. I don't know how they can keep doing this night after night after night. They're on their knees, then they're up in the air. They're throwing each other through the air. They're doing flips. Like it is insane the physical toll that the workers have to put on every single night. And it's amazing for me to watch because I don't have to do it, and they look so good doing it. So it's great.
They make your job easy, right? Well, not
Oh,
not
so
to discredit you and not your talent, but
no, no,
that
no.
does
They make me
help.
look great,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah, that's got to be pretty like affirming for you, I feel like. So,
oh yeah, it's
um,
awesome.
we
Yeah.
talked about a lot of kind of mixed themes the show provides and different things it touches on in the real world. But is there anything specific that you hope, audiences are taking away after seeing this show?
Yeah, I hope the biggest thing, and we talk about this all the time, is that I hope people walk away with a sense of hope. Is that from the very beginning of the show, we tell you that it's a sad song. We tell you that it's not going to end well. And then we drop that and we just tell you the story. And then at the end, you hear the gasps, or the other night when someone someone went, no, um, grown man who had never seen a musical before. It was great. But when people leave that theater, I hope they just walk away with hope, and that no matter how hard it is, or even when you're told how it's going to end, that does not mean in any way, shape, or form that you should stop going for it.
So you said you're about to do show 145, which is
Mhm.
crazy. What have you learned about yourself being a part of this show and getting to play Hades and just in general, like, I always think about legacy. So like, what do you think of
Mhm.
this now? What do you maybe think that's something that will stick with you? Because eventually this run will end?
Yeah. I think the craziest part is because I've been performing for about 10 years now. I've done multiple national tours and ships, and I've performed in Korea and Japan, all these different places. But the following that Hadestown has is unlike anything I've ever come across. People love this show. They love this show. It's also like Doctor Who. Everyone has their favorite doctor. And it's like me following in the footsteps and being in the same conversations as Patrick Page, Philip Boykin, Zachary James, Matthew Quinn, all these other guys. It's been incredible. And people have shown so much love and attention. I didn't know fan edits were a thing until people started doing them. And it's like, oh, you better be on it every single night because you don't know who's filming in the audience that night. But for me too, is that this has been such a big confidence builder for me. I'm a small town North Carolina boy who really, our parents, we never wanted for anything, but I wasn't like wealthy living in a mansion and whatever. And so for me, and I'm 6'3". I've always been a big guy, and I've always kind of lowered myself to people to make them feel more safe, more secure. Lower, and it's been something like I walk taller now that I've played Hades. There's a confidence that you need to have, a delusional confidence you need to have that I've always had, but for this one, it's like, yeah, whenever I walk around now, I walk around a little bit taller.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love everything you just said. Also, I think a little bit of delusion is okay. It's where we teeter that line is where it gets a little sketchy, I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like.
oh
So,
yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah.
that's incredible though. I love what this show has done for you. So, Nicholas, I cannot wait to see this production when it comes to Springfield. It will be live on the Hammons Hall stage April 7th through the 9th. You can get your tickets at hammonshall.com. See Nicholas and the rest of his cast live right here in the Ozarks. Thank you, Nicholas.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.